last Friday night to take my grandson to a Sounds game. And I was embarrassed by Greer Stadium. I could not believe that a city as Nashville and all the money that you put into this community and all with Skimmerhorn, I know that's with problems we've got, but with the new Civic Center and everything, that we don't have a ballpark that's similar to, let's say, Memphis has done. I don't know why the Sounds even would stay here. Like I say, I would love to see the city do something about that.
Yeah, I think we'd love to do something there too. There's definitely a need. You're exactly right. I think the thing that's going to make that work and put us in a position to do something about it is those types of things truly need to be a public-private partnership. And we've sort of outlined some ideas to the Sounds on what they could bring to the table that would help us get that done. And we're currently in those conversations. So I think we'd like to see it happen too, but it's not going to happen if it's just a city-financed and paid-for facility. They need to help us with that.
You mentioned tax increases, but when I read what I got in the mail, it says something about you can't just get an increase just because of an increase in values. Can you explain the mechanics of that?
I'll do the best I can on that. So every 4 years we do what's called a reappraisal in Davidson County. And what that really means is the property assessor goes and reassesses all the commercial, residential, industrial, all the property inside the county. And at the end of the day, it assigns values to those parcels. But from the city's perspective, that exercise doesn't result in more revenue. The revenue we get from property taxes stays the same. It's just the value of that mix of properties inside Davidson County gets assigned differently. Does that make sense? Yeah. But to us, it's not any new revenue.
My question is about education. I know that the mayor, whenever I hear him talks about public education and the need for it to improve. I'm curious, what are the steps that the city's taking, and what also can the rest of us do to help?
Yeah, that's a great question, and probably a question that we could talk about an answer to for about 2 or 3 hours. I think the mayor's view is, and I agree with him, that it's sort of the most important thing we do. I mean, we take responsibility for educating children every day in our city. One of the things that's unique to Nashville is the mayor really has no direct control over school decisions. In our city, we have an elected school board and a superintendent who works for that elected school board. And for example, in the budget, we just passed a $1.8 billion budget Tuesday night. 42% of that goes to schools. We can't and have no say-so, we nor the council have any say-so on how they spend any of that money. That is a decision the school board makes. So there's sort of a governance challenge to this a little bit. And then I think in terms of what you can do, I think all of us should care about it. I think all of us should get engaged in the conversation. I think there's lots of conversations, lots of places to plug into that dialogue. Do you have kids that go to school, public school? Yeah. Getting active at the school level would be great. There's needs there, and I think that's really where you can make the most difference on a case-by-case basis. So that's sort of a roundabout answer. There's a lot going on there, but it's priority number one for the mayor.
I want to go back to the baseball for just a second.
Yep.
And this is, I don't want to give you a loaded question, but have there been any conversations or hypotheticals, passing conversations long-term about ever pursuing an MLB team? A Tampa, small market team? I don't know if there's any certain population we have to get to, anything like that. Has that ever been a part of the conversations at all?
Yeah, I think you characterize them as hypothetical, and I think that's the way I would characterize them too. But, you never say never. You don't know.
You're telling me there is a chance.
Hey, Yuri, do not tweet that.
Ellen Gay?
So you mentioned earlier mass transit, and that's one of the things that I would really like to see improved in Nashville. And I have to say that I'm not quite as up on it as I once was. But I know when I go to other cities that attract a lot of tourists,
Right.
typically the transit is so much better, and I feel like Nashville is such a great city for tourists for any number of reasons, particularly the music scene here, and I think that we would attract even more than we do in terms of tourism if we just had better transit. So what's going on, I guess, with the east-west corridor is my question in a nutshell.
There's a lot going on, period, with transit. We've invested a lot of money in the transit system here over the last 4 or 5 years in the form of equipment. You'll see more hybrids and more environmentally friendly buses out on the road now. We've expanded routes. We've done, and when I get in these conversations with transit people, they speak, it's like talking to the military. They speak in all these acronyms all the time. It's like acronym this, acronym that. So I'll do that, and then you tell me this doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what you're talking about. So we've done something they call BRT Light. Okay, so that's Bus Rapid Transit Light. Down Gallatin Road, we just opened that same service down Murfreesboro Road. And what that really means is to put it in real terms and the way I understand things, is from Rivergate to the Music City Central, the bus terminal downtown, there are 43 stops on the regular bus route. So now on the Gallatin Road BRT, and it takes a long time. On the BRT Light, on Gallatin Road from Rivergate to Music City Central, there are 10 stops. And those stops all have real-time information, when can you expect the next bus to come, et cetera, et cetera. So Nashville as a city is at this place where we've gotten to the point where expanding transit makes some sense. Now how you do it, what the product is, we could talk about it, et cetera, et cetera. But we have that scale now to sort of support transit. The East-West Connector, or the AMP, as it's currently called, it's in, I would say, process. They've gone through an initial phase where they've schematically sort of laid it out, and the route they've come up with is, in essence, from St. Thomas to 5 Points in East Nashville. You guys know where I'm talking about on that route? So it comes all the way down West End, goes to the middle of downtown, and goes across the bridge and goes to East High School, 5 Points on the east side. And so they've sort of done some preliminary work on that project, and the next phase to happen on that is we've got to actually go do the engineering and the design work on that and figure out what makes sense, what doesn't, where can you turn left, how many stops do you have, all the things you do in a big, what I would characterize as a public works project. I mean, it's a big project in the middle of the road for 7.5 miles. That is a big public works project with a lot of things you got to figure out about it. So that's the next phase, and that probably takes a year to 18 months, and then you move into the funding phase with the feds.
Last question.
I've heard that the majority of Metro's public school students live in poverty, 80 to 90,000 kids. A high percentage are in poverty. And for a lot of them, that it's the only chance really to get out of poverty. We're blessed to have a mayor and government officials who really believe in education. You mentioned Get Involved. Can you give us an example of a successful program where, as individuals, business owners, et cetera, we can get involved, or that the mayor has championed?
So there are a lot of them, and we've done a lot of different things, from enhancing school libraries to after-school programs. There are a lot. It's a whole portfolio of things that we've done sort of outside the day-to-day school system to try to improve those things. But I'll react just off the top of my head to your question. You're right. We have 85,000 or so school kids, and the majority of them are on free or reduced meals. And I was in a meeting yesterday where, over the course of the summer, we're going to do a big school supply drive where we actually partner with corporate sponsors and do backpacks full of school supplies, et cetera, and help those kids sort of not be at a disadvantage when they start school and they've got notebooks and they've got paper and whatever the things that they use today. They have those things with them. So if you want to call our office, I'm sure somebody can, if you're interested in something like that and you want to participate, I'm sure we can plug you into it.
Matt, Greg wants to know if you'll co-chair that sounds rehabilitation. Yeah, bring your paper. Thank you very much. If you do us a favor and pick 3 names out of here, just 3 cards, make sure none of them's Ted Sanders. And we're going to give away 2 gift certificates